Desert, wind, clouds, inescapable sun. It was time to finish this. The desert can at times be somewhere, but this desert was nowhere. I convinced my husband that this nowhere place was on his way home for the holiday weekend. The end of the reasonable time to be doing this section of the PCT was coming to a close soon, and I had to take my chance before the heat would push me into the fall season instead. Scissors Crossing. Oh yes, I remember you. 2 months ago, I started my PCT Section A journey at the border, Campo. That day, I realized I had 2 different socks on, and then I broke my water flask getting out of the truck. So, it was a good start. I didn't realize how many thru-hikers would also be setting forth those first days of March. I met the most amazing souls, experienced my first trail magic, and learned how life-changing trail angels can be. But I pushed my limits, trying to keep up with those thru-hikers. I made footwear choices that just didn't work for me during those long miles with a heavy pack, day after day. And I hadn't yet made my first leukotape purchase. It took everything in me to push my feet to make it to Scissors Crossing that first PCT trip. After making the climb out of it, I looked back down at the crossing, smiling to think of my first sketchy hitchhike into Julian. Here I was, crazy enough to try again, baby backpacker that I am. With lighter gear, ultra shoes, dirty girl gaiters, and darn tough socks to protect me onward. So watch out, little lizards. Here I come. Heat is a tricky animal, hiding in lower temperatures, hitting you over the head with relentless sun. Who turned that shining beast up? Too bright. Somebody turn that thing down, please. Any shade becomes a gem as I will my body to shrink into the shadow of bony branches. Ugh. Why did I try to convince everyone how awesome desert hiking is? Who was that girl? Oh no, I might hate the desert. Then dusk comes. I'm starting to remember why I love being out here, alone, drinking the views, talking to the rocks, and singing to the cacti. This land, y'all. And just like that, I don't hate the desert anymore. I learned a lot about wind this trip. Spent the first night holding up my trekking pole so that my tent wouldn't fall, resetting guy lines in the dark and adding heavier stones to keep them secured as I tried to avoid the prickly plant pieces around my campsite. Found out later there was a high wind advisory that night that would follow me the next day. The wind would end up causing an ankle injury as the gust caught me at the wrong angle on a ridge. But that was later. First, I would enjoy the water that people leave for other humans here in one of those nowhere places. All around our country, people leave water in places that would otherwise have none. They leave snacks or wait for hikers so they can grill for them or give them fresh food. They open their homes to tired or injured hikers. What would our communities actually look like if everyone treated each other the way trail angels treat hikers on long trails? These are the thoughts that join me as the miles stretch ahead, as I walk through the clouds, chased by the wispy arms of water vapor. The rest of the world disappears in those clouds, and it's just the trail forward, just my footsteps, just another mile. Those rolling golden fields leading into Warner Springs were magnificent, absolutely stunning. There was freedom in those fields, flowing through my body as I stretched my arms out and gave myself to the wind, to the cleansing rays of sun coming in waves over the yellow hills. Here was home. Here was Eagle Rock. Here was the end of Section A. Here were the tears that surprised me as I crossed the final livestock gate into town. So incredibly happy to have finally finished my baby backpacker goal. Here was the community center, where I would wash my body and my clothes with buckets, where I would rest, where I would put aloe on my sun and wind-whipped face, where I would video call my mom and share some trail updates from the first few days. Because my journey wasn't ending here. I was continuing on the Pacific Crest Trail. But that's a story for another time. Thank you so much for taking a walk with me. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more adventures ahead. See you next week.